I want to explain more about the statuses over here. So we have a port that we were using in a prior video called new customer out. And let's do the normal scenario. We take this file here, we drop it in there, in that directory. BizTalk reads it, consumes it, and then we go to hat. And so what I'm looking for is after 412. So 413, it was received and it was transmitted. Okay, so now let's come over here and let's totally stop the port, which this is where these words get confusing. Unenlisted is the lowest state that the port could be in. So now it's like totally turned off. So now if we go drop the file again, and then we refresh our hat query, okay, so now you see you've got the message came in and it says started, not completed. So that means if you scroll over here, you'll see the error. And the error is our old friendly message we've seen many times. It says the message could not be routed because there were no subscribers. And so BizTalk is basically telling you, hey, why are you sending me messages that no one wants? Okay, so that's not a good state for BizTalk to receive those types of messages. Now, let's go back and set the port now to the middle state, which is called either enlisted, bound, or stopped, depending who you talk to. So notice here, if I'm in the off state, which is unenlisted, and I bump it up to enlist, one would think that it would say enlisted, wouldn't one? But instead it says stopped. Now, from there we can go back to start, and here, instead of saying it, stop, we can say stop, it goes back to stopped. So in other words, on this little pop-up list here, stop and enlist basically do the same thing. Enlist basically moves an unlisted port to the stop state, and stop basically moves a started port to the stop state. Okay, so there's three states: started, stopped, and unenlisted. So now that it's stopped, the best analogy is that you're getting your mail from the post office, and you normally pick it up immediately, but you're going to be out of town for a month, and so you're going to ask your postmaster to hold it for you. So you have your mail stopped. So we're going to drop the file over here. We're going to go to hat, run our query, and you can see the receive actually completed, but nothing was sent, and there's no error. Okay, no error over here. So what happens then is we come back later. We've been gone now for a month, and we say, we're back, Mr. Postman. We'd like to get our mail now. So we come over here now, and you turn this to started, and then now all your mail that's been piled up will be handed to you. So now if we go back to hat and run it again, you now see the transmits now ran. And basically the same thing holds true for orchestrations. Orchestrations have the exact same states: unenlisted, stopped, and started. So for instance, well, actually, you have to unenlist an orchestration before you can change it or deploy it. So like if you have a deployment to do, you would actually have to unenlist it. So you can't really just stop it. I'm trying to think of a real-world reason why you might want to stop a port. The other thing you can do is actually set target times of day on your ports. So like here, actually that's on a receive port. So on a receive location, you can even have, okay, let's back up. On a receive location, there's only two states, enabled and disabled. So the enlisted, stopped, and started has to do with send ports and orchestrations, things that can be subscribers. Or if you think about receive locations, think of polling, that the system is going to go poll or event driven. It's going to find out when someone adds a file to this directory. And so here it's either on or off. However, you can actually set the time of day when you want this to be on. So if I go here to new flat file, customer flat file position, there's a screen here called schedule, and I can say, okay, I only want to run this from Friday at 5 p.m. until so-and-so on Saturday, and that's a date range. Or you can say every day I want to run this from 12 midnight to 3 a.m. and then the rest of the day the port would be turned off. So you could basically save some of your work for night when maybe your CPU wasn't as busy by using the service window. So to summarize, in this video we learned about the three states of the orchestrations in the send port. Started, the intermediary state called stopped, and then the lowest state called unenlisted. When it's unenlisted, your messages will not find that send port at all. If you're in the stop state, your messages will be held until that port is turned back on. To show you one last little thing here, I've stopped this port, I dropped my message, and then I went up here and I looked for the suspended messages. And for some reason we are getting two of these. I'm not sure why two, but these messages do show as suspended resumable, so that later when that port is available, it says here the service instance was suspended because the corresponding send port or orchestration was in the stop state. Instance can be resumed after corresponding service is started. And then we saw how actually we don't have to come here and actually hit the restart button. There is it's slightly off my screen here. There is a terminate instance and a resume instance in this little pop-up window. However, we don't actually have to do that. We just come back over here to the send ports, and then when we start it, those messages will automatically go, and then when we go back and query them again, you can see they're gone. So they kind of self-healed, or they self-restarted. So that's the secrets about ports.